Hey all, Michael Lunsford here, Citizens for New Louisiana. Today, right now, June the 1st, there's a session on. Of course, it's been on since April. But what's important about it right now is they've been delaying since April the 10th these fiscal bills. They always do this. They hold them to the last minute so that the legislators don't have an opportunity to read them, to figure out what's in them, and to vote with an educated mind. It's always hurry up and pass it and we'll find out what's in it later. It's no exception this time around. In fact, it's worse. Senate President Paige Cortez is bringing SCR 3. Now, the way it works in our system is we have rules that say you can only grow government by a certain amount of money every year. And I forget what the percentage is. But they have a surplus. And the reason they have a surplus, well, I'll tell you what. Let me show you. Bacala has been trying to do this for quite some time. Last year he brought House Bill 438, and this year he brought House Bill 62. And those two bills, the attempt was to step it down. But watch what he says.
You know, in FY17 we had a deficit of $304 million. And in the third extraordinary session of 2018, we came back and tried to address the deficits that were projected. But in reality, what we ended up with in FY18 was a $122 million surplus, followed up in 19 with a $308 million surplus, in 20 with a $534 million surplus. In 21, a $270 million surplus. Then we really got big. In 22, a $699 million surplus. And in 23, we're looking at a $726 million surplus. Add to that REC has increased our projected revenue this year by another 323 and next year by 383 on top of the 1.2 billion overall that we're looking at. That's part of the two. My point being that we've been running surpluses every single year since this tax was enacted, every single year. So we have an option, I think, and something that we at least should consider is if we're collecting more than we need, why don't we just give some back?
All right, so there you have it. We have all of these surpluses every year because you're being overtaxed. That half-cent sales tax that they added forever ago that they refuse to get rid of, they keep taking it down a little bit here and a little bit there because they don't like to be called the highest tax state in the United States. It's like we're number 2 by a razor-thin margin. We could be number 1. In fact, we may be number 1 now because someone else may have gone down a fraction just so they are not number 1, right? That's how we do this. Everything has to be, we're the top of the list on all things bad, we're the bottom of the list on all things good, right? So here's the process. We have SCR 3. The goal is to spend like crazy an extra $2.3 billion, give it to John Bel Edwards. We don't know what's in it. We don't know what it's for. We don't know anything. Hurry up and pass it. They tried to do that last night. They tried to hurry up and get the process moving on this, and they said because the clock's against us. Well, dude, you've had 2 months. Why all of a sudden in the last week is the clock against you? Why didn't you handle this? So look, I'm going to show you how you can do your own research and how you can figure this stuff out. I mean, you know, the best a normal person can figure things out. Let's go check out the legislators' website. Here we go. So here we are. This is the homepage of the legislature, legis.la.gov. When you come here, what you want to look for is bills, and then you're going to tap on 2023 regular session. That'll take you here. I have it already set SCR 3, Senate Concurrent Resolution number 3. If I hit search, it'll take me to the bill. However, I want to show you can also change this to HB for House Bill, and we're going to be talking about House Bill 1 and 2 here in a minute. So let's just go ahead and see what SCR 3 is going to do for us. So here we go. Here is SCR 3 by, of course, Paige Cortez, who wants to increase. In fact, we have the fiscal note here. Does it have it? It says see fiscal note. Okay. Well, let's go look at the bill itself. So in order to do that, we go to text, and we're going to tap on SCR 3 re-engrossed. That'll take us here. So this is the whole bill. It's only 4 pages, but I like to the easy way to do this, if you're new at this, is scroll to the end, and there is the digest section. I know the politicos say never read the digest, read the whole bill. I would encourage you to do that, and you'll get a better feel for it. But the short version is $500 million increase to the budget for 2022-23. I think we're currently in that budget. And next year's budget for 2023-24, they want to increase it to or an additional $1.8 billion. That is $2.3 billion in new spending for John Bel Edwards. This SCR came out, again, April the 10th. It was voted on by the Senate. Here's the last S. You see that. The last action was 529. Why in the world did they wait almost 2 months to vote on it? I tell you why. Because they're trying to jam the legislature into hurrying up and passing this so we don't have to have a special session. That's what they're doing. So it's been sitting in the House just a couple of days. Schexnayder last night tried to ram it through, but it didn't quite take. They're supposed to be scheduled for today at some point. But the challenge we run into is, okay, what's the $2.3 billion for? Well, seriously, what's it for? So if I were trying to find that out, where would I go to find that out? Well, that's a simple solution. We're going to go back to the bill search page, and we're going to change this to HB1, just HB1. Now, when I click search, it'll take me over here. I've got these tabs open already just to make it easier on myself. But here we go, HB1 by Representative Jerome Zerang. It was considered 526 in Senate Finance Committee. Now, let's go, and we're going to get into this in a minute. But look, it was pre-filed on the 24th of March. It was read by title under the rules 5-1. It on April the 10th. So since April the 10th, it's been sitting around. They passed it about a month later. I guess there's a process, right? So here we go. The last House action was 5-4, May the 4th. So it's been sitting in the Senate waiting on the Finance Committee since the 4th. Well, it says here since the 9th of May. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. So it's been 3 weeks. Now, it was heard on this date. So let's go take a look at what happened at that meeting. Let's go look.
We're going to do public testimony till about 12:30, and then after that, we're going to hear bills. So we're going to have a long day. Okay, folks, we're out of time. We only get so much time to have committee meetings, and we have to move on. If you did not get to talk today, and I know you're looking at me, I know you want to talk, we're going to have to try to make some more time either before another finance meeting or after one or at night. But right now, we don't have any more time.
All right, so nothing happened at the meeting. They effectively ran out of time. Well, we'll do it later, right? But we don't know anything about it. Let's flip back here. Let's look. So you can read this. This is an insanely long budget. It's usually hundreds of pages. But amendments is what we're looking for. So what are they going to spend? Now, again, remember, this is a Senate concurrent resolution. So it is Page Cortez that wants to spend an extra $2.3 billion. What does he want to spend it on? Well, wait a minute. All we have is a House amendment. We have no idea what the Senate is proposing the extra $2.3 billion before. Nobody knows. So let's go ahead. Let's look at HB2. Now, this is the gravy. So HB1 is the budget, generally speaking. HB2 is kind of I call it the giveaway money. It's the wallpaper at the veterans home up in North Louisiana for $250,000. When they have extra money, that's where it all goes, and they always spend some, right? Again, this is another one of those 100-page bills, 200-page bills. It's insane. But again, it's been sitting in the Senate since 5/18. They recalled it from committee, and they recommitted it back to fiscal affairs. It has not been heard yet. It will be heard today. But let's look. How many amendments does it have? Oh, wait. We don't know about the Senate amendments here either. That's a problem because, again, $2.3 billion in new spending, and nobody knows what it's for, and we have a week left to the session. So why in the world, what reasonable person would approve this kind of foolishness at the last minute because they waited till the last minute to bring it? That's a huge problem. So here's the idea. Call your legislator, call your, especially if they're on the Appropriations Committee on the House side, because that's who's here in SCR 3. They need to hear from you. Let me tell you who they're hearing from. They're hearing from every sheriff's department, every police department, every fire station, every school district with school teachers and higher education. All of these folks that generally stand in line with their hand out during legislative session are all calling, hey, we need you to approve the spending spree so maybe we can get some of that money. Do we know what they're asking for? No, because the Senate hasn't given us an amendment. We have no idea what's in it. But all of these people are calling. All of these bureaucrats are calling, begging for money. They're begging them to break the rules and spend more than they're supposed to. But it's up to you. None of our people, none of the regular grassroots people are calling, telling them don't spend it. None of us. So pick up the phone, call your legislator, tell them, don't bust the cap, they call it. Don't let John Bel Edwards spend an extra $2.3 billion to give us another fiscal cliff next year, and then again in 2025 when the half-cent sales tax falls off, they're going to scream bloody murder that, oh no, the sky is falling, we have to raise taxes. It could all be stopped right now. SCR 3 doesn't pass. It's an extra $2.3 billion. It rolls over, and when the big old drop-off comes, guess what? We now have a cushion. So call your legislator, check it out. I have a link in the description that'll take you to the legislature website. It'll take you to the bills, and you should also go find out if you don't know who your legislator is. You can do that on these websites as well. But again, call your legislator. Very important stuff. They're getting hundreds of calls asking them to do it. Not very many asking them not to. Call them up.